Coming up in today's video, I'm making a rainbow, well, you'll find out soon, won't you?
And I'm testing out a strawberry mould.
And I'm doing my rainbow paint palette.
I'm making some music notes.
And I'm making butterflies, all different sizes.
Getting all those little spots was really difficult. I'm making a rainbow 6-sided dice, which was really tough to get all the colours together.
And I'm making butterfly wings, which looks just like my mural that I made. And now I'm making gummy bears, rainbow ones.
I'm making rainbows, and it's so fiddly trying to get the small colours separated.
I'm multitasking. I'm making gummy bears and donuts at the same time. And this is all the molds that we're going to use. So first we're going to test out the rose mold, and we're just going to use red, and then we're going to take it out, and it worked pretty well. And now we're going to try a red butterfly, and then we took that out too to see if it worked. And now we're on to a Lego mold, and you just got to make sure you don't squish it too much, otherwise it doesn't come out properly.
And I'm making a dog using air dry clay. The aim here is to see if the air dry clay will dry inside the mold. We took it out of the mold and it didn't work exactly as we expected it to. So we tried the same air dry clay again, this time with a double bear mold, but unfortunately this didn't work because the bear heads came out squished. So we tried it again and we're going to leave it in there to set. We decided to try using the dog mold again that we used before. So we put some air dry clay in it and we're going to wait for it to set.
And now we're showing you the very first mold that we tested, and it's a little girl and the details look amazing. And now Tim's getting the rainbow colours and he's going to put it in one side at a time, and he's going to make one of my favourite molds, which is a pencil mold. And it's pretty difficult because you have to try and make it all fit in and have no gaps.
So what I ended up doing was using the 6 colours of the rainbow around the sides and black clay for the centre to provide strength to it.
And then I'm trying a rainbow Lego, just like the red one we did earlier. And now I'm trying a rainbow butterfly, just like the other one we did as well. And now Tim has finished the rainbow pencil, and my butterfly takes a bit of time because you have to make sure all the colours are in there correctly.
I'm making a dog paw, it's so cute.
And now I'm getting all the rainbow colours together to make a rainbow Patty Rose mould. It takes a bit of time to do this because you have to make sure all the colours are combined but not too smudged in. And now I'm just going to fix up the butterfly and then move all the moulds so we have more room.
I'm making a cup with air dry clay.
And I'm making hearts, all different sizes. I'm also using the soft clay that dries really quickly, but it's really soft and it's like magic. It turns into like a feather. You should check out that clay video that I've posted on YouTube. And I finished off the heart molds and fixing up the paw, and Tim's finishing the cylinder. And now we're doing the dog molds together. We're picking which colours work well and what would look like Harper's paws. And then we're putting it into the mold, and it's a little tricky because this mold's a lot tougher. We're doing teamwork here, we're working together. Tim's putting the clay in and I'm cutting around it to make sure it's all smooth as well. And I'm just putting the molds up the top, and now we're both starting on different molds. I'm starting on shell molds, and I'm going to be doing my favourite thing, which is of course rainbow. If you didn't guess, it's really hard to make rainbow things because the colours need to go together really well, otherwise you can tell the difference, and then there's just gaps all in between them.
And I'm making some succulents, which is pretty tough when you think about all those little points. Now I'm making a heart that's made out of roses. There's a lot of small parts and you've got to make sure the clay fits all the way in.
I'm still working on my shell mold, and Tim went to do a frangipani mold but was like, yeah, I can't do that right now. So he decided to do a shell mold as well.
And I had to make a long shell using the rainbow for all different sections. Michelle loves it.
And now I finally finished my shell mold. I'm on to another shell mold. We're both working on shell molds because I love shells, because it's like me shell. And now Tim's finally working on that frangipani mold, and that's the last one for the day. Tim puts it down and now we're on to the second day. I'm working on one of my favorite molds. It's an ice cream mold, and I'm using, of course, rainbow colors, and you have to be really careful because you have to put it in and you're going to make sure that it all goes together, because you don't want to have just all the rainbow colors all separated. It took a few goes to do this because it was hard to get into the mold.
So here I'm flattening out an ice cream just to try and get the details correct.
And I'm cutting around the edges to make it neater.
I'm using the rainbow to make a happy birthday sign, which meant I had to use several pieces and get them all in together evenly.
And on the correct letters. And now I'm working on some butterfly molds. They're all different sizes. Tim's finishing off the blue and the purple in the happy birthday mold, and I'm working on my butterfly mold still. I have to put the black all the way around the butterfly wings because there's so many different details.
I'm making some music notes of several different styles. It had some really thin pieces here, so it was really tough to get them in the mold to stick together.
And I'm working on the second butterfly and the small one as well.
And I'm making a cupcake patty mold. This one was really annoying because the mold itself is really soft, so it's hard to keep the shape.
And you had to do it a few times and had to try out different ways to do it and to see which is the best way. And now I'm making balloons. I did different colors and even a rainbow one, of course. We are both still working on these molds because there is so many tiny details. And I have to do a rainbow one which involves 6 colors, and you have to make sure they all go together correctly. And now that I've finished that, I put it up top and I have to neaten up all the molds because there's a lot more to do. And then we got out more rainbow clay because I love doing rainbow creations. And Tim was going to do the chocolate mold, but then I decided to do it because it's going to be rainbow, and Tim's doing the strawberry mold instead. The chocolate mold was really hard to do, so I stopped at red and left it for Tim to do later. And then I'm starting on one of my favorite molds, which is a paint palette with paint on it. It's actually really hard to do this paint palette and try to put all the circles of the different rainbow colors of paint into it. You'll find out in the next video where it shows you the undoing of all the molds that it didn't exactly work, but it still looks pretty good. And we did more of them because it looks so cool.
And right now I'm adding more details to the strawberries to make them look more real.
I'm making the shape of the paint palette, and then I'm going to leave it up the top for Tim to put in the little paints because it's pretty difficult, but he has a tool that makes it easier for him. While Tim puts in the red for the strawberry, I'm on to my other favorite mold, which is a pencil mold. And of course, I'm doing a rainbow.
So I took over the paint palette and put the colors in.
The paint palette was still so difficult that Tim stopped after doing 2 of them and went on to doing the rainbow chocolate bar. Now I'm on to doing rainbow crayon molds. They're so cute and it comes out so well. I can't wait to show you next time when we undo all of these molds. Tim is finishing off the purple on the chocolate mold and then he bumps the camera. And now I'm working on 2 ice cream molds. One is a swirl and the other one is 3 scoops.
And I'm back to the paint palette because it's still there and it still has to be done.
Because it's my favorite. Now that I've finished both ice creams, I'm on to a broken heart. First, I have to fix the rainbow chocolate bar. And now I'm on to that broken heart, which you put together and then it's a full heart. And Tim's still working on that paint palette. Will he ever do it? While Tim tries to do that paint palette, I'm on to hearts. I'm doing a rainbow heart first, and it takes a while. And this mold's actually really hard to do because it moves a lot and you get bubbles in it. So I had to keep checking the back and make sure there was no bubbles in it. And then I'm going to do a red one and keep doing the rainbow all the way through because there's 9 different hearts. And Tim finally finished the paint palette. One of us was able to finish it off.
So I'm just working on a single strawberry here just to make sure that I'm getting it right when it comes to making the rest.
Because there's so many different strawberries to test.
So here I'm making a larger version of the succulents that I was making before.
Because the succulent is so big, it takes a lot of clay to fill it up. And I'm still doing my hearts one at a time. That's 9 of them, and there's rainbow colours to do. And Tim finished the big succulent.
And here for something a bit different, I'm making a cupcake, but the cupcake has blue icing.
And I'm on to my last heart now, and Tim's finishing off his cupcake. And now that I've finally finished those hearts, we're moving the molds up to the top and getting a bunch of new molds and more clay. I'm making some more butterfly wings, and of course I'm doing a rainbow one because it looks like my mural that I made.
I'm making a rainbow dice where you have to get all of the rainbow bits of clay and put it inside the mold and put the lid on it to keep it in shape.
It also includes a number on the top, but something happened and you'll find out what happened in the undoing next time.
But for now, I'm making a donut.
And I'm still doing my butterfly wings, and these can actually be turned into earrings.
So using some air dry clay, I'm making some mugs. They're 2 halves and you put them together.
I'm finally on my last butterfly wings and they're finished. Tim's finishing off those mugs and now I'm onto a rainbow shooting star.
Using air dry clay, I'm making a guy that's got a pair of shoes that are separate from him, so you have to take the 2 molds out and put them together.
Now I'm making some rainbow mugs and they've got cute little hearts on them.
So now I'm making these rainbows of various sizes, and it's so hard to get that little bit of the right color into the right spot of the mold.
Because it's so thin. And now I'm flattening out the mugs and finishing that off. And now we're going to work together but separately. Tim's going to do the white for the M&M. And I'm going to be even more creative and make a rainbow into a circle so Tim can just push it into the mold. And now I'm making rainbow gummy bears. I'm making so many gummy bears. I'm doing a bunch of rainbow ones and then I'm going to do them rainbow colored one at a time, and then I'm even going to use the air dry clay, that really soft clay. It turns into like a feather. It's so soft. And we have run out of room on the table, so Tim's moving all the molds that we've done so far onto another table so we have more room, and then it's back to my gummy bears. And Tim's getting out each color of the rainbow of the air dry clay, and you have to work so quickly and you have to make sure you close those bags, because if you don't close them they get dry so quickly, and I mean like in a few minutes. Right now I'm trying to use the purple air dry clay and you find out exactly what happens. You'll see that in the undoing video next week.
So now I'm back on making the rainbows. And the thing that I found the most challenging about it, obviously, was not only just putting it in the molds, which took several tools and a lot of time, but you'll see when we pull them out of the molds in the next video, how hard it was to keep them in their shape as well.
Not only am I doing a bunch of gummy bears at once, I've also decided to do the mini donuts at the same time. So I do one color at a time and I just do like red in the gummy bear and then red donut and then so on for every colour. I'm kind of multitasking just like I do in real life. So Tim has nearly finished those 3 rainbow moulds. He's just finishing the red one now, and I'm still on my gummy bears and the donuts. Now Tim has finished those difficult rainbows, and I am nearly finished on my gummy bears. And now Tim is on to little tiny teddies, and it's getting darker now, as you can see. The tiny teddies look so cute. And I'm just about to finish those gummy bears now, and I've finished the gummy bears. I put them to the side, and now I'm on to the mini donuts. And Tim's making a bigger bear, and it's got something even extra cute that you will see in next week's undoing mold video.
So using some white and black clay, I'm making panda bears.
And it got so dark, so now we're on to another day, and now I can keep going with my rainbow mini donuts.
I'm making a bride and groom here, which took a lot of fiddling with whites, blacks and flesh coloured clay.
And you said that when we did the undoing of the mold that you had to put an extra piece underneath another piece for the arm. So after making so many gummy bears, I'm now doing the same thing with a lot of mini donuts. So Tim has put in white for the wedding dress, and now he's putting in black for the jacket, and he's finishing off the suit with black pants, and then he's finished it. It goes up the top, and now we both get more molds. And now Tim's working on tiny lollipops, and they're all different shapes. There's hearts and swirls, and I'm working on all different ice creams. There's swirls and there's scoops of ice cream, and I'm doing them in all different colours, of course even rainbow ones. And now Tim is going to work on the different desserts. There's ice creams, donuts, chocolate bars, and even cheesecakes with strawberries that go on top. And I'm setting up all the rest of the molds that Tim is going to do later on with a light on. And if you know me, you know exactly why I won't be able to do that, because it's the end of the holidays and this is the last day that we can finish off all the clay until it all gets packed away. So I'm putting in all the different colours for each mould, and Tim's going to finish them off. And at the beginning of all this, we decided which moulds each of us should do. I chose to do all the ones with big groups, so I did all of those gummy bears and all of the donuts. And Tim is doing all the ones with tiny details, and of course I had to do all the rainbow ones as well, because you know me, I love my rainbow. And now here's Tim to tell you the rest of the molds until it's finished.
And now I'm working on a dessert mold with a bunch of different desserts in it, including ice creams and cookies and cakes. Now these are interesting. There's 4 cupcake molds here, and what I like about them is that not only do you have the layers on top, but if you look inside the molds, there's actually extra details that go on the finished product when you're done. So you're not thinking in just 2 colors, you're thinking in 3 colors, because you've got to try and get the accessory right on top. And I think that's pretty cool. We haven't seen that with any of these before. Now this bottom left one is interesting. There's these little dots you can put little bits of white clay in to create a polka dot pattern on the patty, and it certainly gives it a more 3D look. And now I'm going back to the dessert molds just to try and finish that off. And you can see it's starting to get a little bit dark now, so I'm going to be turning the light on so that I can see a little bit better. So with this dessert mold, I've come back to it just to make sure I clean it up a bit, add some more interesting colors. That was part of the experiment, to do as many different colors as we could think of. So you can see here that the colors are already in the molds. Michelle put them there for me to just have as a reference guide. My job was to expand on them, fill it out, so that way you came back with a nice shape. There's a bunch of different experiments with colors here to try and see what's going to work the best, which can be a challenge trying to get these colors to go smoothly together. But I thought it came together really well. So I'm making cakes, donuts, chocolate bars, and more ice creams, which is pretty cool. You'll notice that in the mold, there's actually some strawberries up the top. These strawberries go with the cakes. When you pull them out of the molds, you stick it to them separately, and they can form an actual fully slice of cake. Something that I really like about this mold is that it has so many different things. And so if you sort of need a one-stop shop, hey, I need a bunch of desserts, just do this one instead of having to dig out a bunch of different molds. That's why we like it so much. So what I'm working on now is the donut molds. Now for this one, we tried to experiment with rainbow patterns, sort of going vertically, horizontally, diagonally. Something challenging about this too is that it had the little dots in it, just like the polka dot cupcakes, which meant you had to really get the pattern right. Like that, the rainbow donut is now finished. And now I'm working on the final mold, which is a bunch of different lollies, including lollipops, wrapped lollies of different varieties, and even a tiny chocolate bar. The lollipops in particular were really difficult to do, not because of the lollipops themselves, but the tiny bow. And now it's finished.
And now it is all finished on a table, and I'm going around showing you all the different clay molds. You can see all the stuff that we have made. Lego, butterflies, hearts, sweets, cupcakes, pencils, everything we have done. Which is your favourite? Tell us in the comments. Make sure you come back next week to see the video where we undo all the molds. That's all the molds we have done, and that's what it looks like now.
It's a dark night, but you shine so bright. I can see the stars shining through your eyes. Someone else might shine as bright, but they're not you. Just watch them try, 'cause everything happens for a reason, and stars shine in every single season. So reach for the stars, shine so bright, go so far.